or PhD level. So the abstract should include 4 essential aspects of the research. First, the purpose. You must mention what is the purpose of this research. Second, what methodology you use to answer your research question. Third, what did you find about this research? What were your results? What were your findings? Right? What was your conclusion? And then implication. Right? That what is the importance of these findings? Right? What are the effects of these findings? So your purpose, it leads to methodology. And methodology leads to finding. And finding leads to implication. So we will discuss each section in detail on coming slide. But remember that you have to follow this order. You can't first write methodology and then finding and then application and then purpose. No. First, you have to place the purpose of your research in abstract. Second, the methodology you use to answer research question. Third, the finding of your research, results or conclusion. And the fourth, what are the implications of your finding? If you conducted a research, so what? What is the benefit? What are the effects? How these findings are important? So we will discuss each aspect in detail on coming slides. Now the first one, describe the purpose and value of your research. So the first part of an abstract is what? Describe the purpose and value, the importance of your research, the significance of your research. So what to include in the first part? Explain what the research set out to discover and why it is important. You have to mention, okay, that this study aims or this study investigated or this study examined or the purpose of this study was that and why. The second thing is that why it is important that you conducted this study. And then clearly state research aims and questions, importance of these aims and question. Sometimes we find even research question in abstract if you are producing a lengthy abstract. But if you are producing like a 1 page or 1 paragraph abstract, so we don't insert research question, but we paraphrase these research questions in the form of aims and objective. And then we write 1 sentence to talk about the importance of this research or the importance of these aims and objective. Now, make this section clear, concise, and convincing to hook the reader. If this section is interesting, if this section is well formed, if this section is well structured, so you are going to draw the attention of the reader, attention of the other scholar. So this is very, very important. I'll give you sample example of this also on coming slide. Now, the second part of a good abstract. Briefly outline your studies methodology. After the purpose, the aims and objective, and the significance of your research question or research, you are going to write methodology. That how did you answer those questions? How did you address those research questions? How did you analyze the data, right, that you collected for research? So briefly outline your studies methodology. This is the second part of your abstract. In this part of your abstract, you need to convey, briefly explain that how you went about answering your research questions, your methodology. So what to include in this part? What research design and methodology you adopted in your research. You have to include what? What research design? What was your research design? Whether it was qualitative, it was quantitative, it was a mixed research, or did you use like a questionnaire? Did you use like interviews, right? And then methodology you adopted in your research. The whole process of you answering these questions. So you have to briefly mention here your research methodology. If you have chosen any theoretical framework, you can also include in your this research methodology. Now, what to include in this section? Question to address in this section. Did you take a qualitative or quantitative approach? So you can write in the research methodology that this study adopted a qualitative or a quantitative or a mixed approach. And who or what did your sample consist of? It might be qualitative or it might be quantitative. You have to mention your population, and out of population, that what were the samples that you analyze. So this is also like in your research design and methodology. And then how did you collect your data? You collected your data through questionnaire. Did you collect your data through interviews, recording, observation, right? How did you collect your data? Okay, was that like the source of collection of data was primary or secondary? You can also write this. And how did you analyze your data? First thing, whether your research was qualitative, quantitative, what would the sample consist of, right? That you analyze. The sample can be, you have population, and then in population you choose a few schools or colleges, right? The students, or you like selected some words, some passages, right? Some paragraph. So these are your samples actually. And then that how did you collect your data? Okay, did you collect your data through questionnaire, through interview, recording, observation, right? Or what was the method of collecting your data? And then how did you analyze your data? What approach you use in the process of the analysis that once you collect your data? So this is okay. These you have to include your research methodology section in abstract. Simply put, this section needs to address how of your research, that how you conducted your research. It doesn't need to be lengthy. This is just summary after all. And it should clearly address the 4 questions above. So your research methodology in abstract section address these 4 questions. Did you take qualitative, quantitative, and who or what did your sample consist of? It can be what or it can be who, people or things. And how did you collect your data? Okay, sources of data collection. And how did you analyze your data? Right? Did you use some kind of software? Did you use some kind of methodology, some approach given by some scholars? Now, the third section of your abstract writing, that is present your key findings. Next, you need to briefly highlight the key findings your research likely produce, a wealth of data and finding. So there may be a temptation to ramble here. However, this section is just after the key finding. In other words, the answer to the original question that you set out to address. You set out some research question, you answer those questions through methodology, and now what did you find, okay, about those questions? You have to mention in your finding, your result section, your concluding section. Again, brevity and clarity are important here. You need to concisely present the most important finding of your read. It can be in point or it can be in paragraph. However, your supervisor suggests you can write your findings. Now, the last and the fourth aspect of your abstract, that is describe the implication of your research. What is implication? You conducted, okay, you mentioned the purpose. You mentioned methodology. You draw some finding. You conducted a research. So what? What happened if you conducted a research? Here you have to answer. What are the implications, the importance of your finding of your research? So purpose of the implication section, this implication section highlights so what of your research. It explains the bigger picture and the significance of your finding, the importance of your finding. Importance help readers understand the real world impact of the research. What will the impact of this research on the real world? Okay, bridge the gap between findings and their practical or theoretical relevance. Sometimes your finding may be practical and sometimes your finding may be theoretical. If your finding are practical, so it solves the problems, it improves an organization, and improve aspect of a company or any like real life improvement. Or if it is theoretical, so that is for the sake of knowledge, okay, previously something was existed, okay, so you take it one step further ahead. Fine. Now, key question to address in your implication. Key area of impact. Now, impact on the industry or field. What is the effect of your research on the industry or field you investigated? This is the practical, okay, implication of your research. And how does it influence the real world? Whether will this research improve, right? Like the employee ratio, the productivity ratio of a company or not, right? How it will be beneficial in the real world. Impact on existing knowledge. Does your research support or challenge the existing body of knowledge? That is theoretical aspect of your implication. Does it provide new perspective or confirm previous finding? Does your finding confirm the previous one or the previous aspect of a character of a novel or what existed in this study or not? You challenge, you change it, right? Or you give a new perspective of an old study, right? Like for example, many people might conducted a research the reasons of the procrastination of Hamlet character in Hamlet. So whether you agree with someone that he or she said that he was procrastinated due to the following reason, or you give a new perspective of the procrastination of Hamlet character. This is okay for the sake of knowledge, and this is the theoretical aspect of your implication. Now, implication for future research direction. What could your finding mean for future research on the topic, and do they open new avenue for exploration or not? Highlights any implication, limitation that future researcher might address. So this will all come in your implication in results and effect of your finding. Closing guidance. Final reminder include these implication. Ensure your abstract is well rounded, real world impact, contribution to knowledge, and guidance for future research. If you include these 4 essential ingredients in your dissertation abstract, you will be headed in a good direction. If you follow these 4 elements: purpose, methodology, findings, and implications. Now I'll give you the sample of a good abstract by highlighting these 4 elements. So the purpose of the implication section is to highlight what of your research, in other words, to highlight its values, right? Now here I'll provide some example of dissertation thesis abstract. Here is an example of an abstract from a master thesis with the purpose, method, finding, and implication color coded. So I'll discuss and I'll highlight these 4 sections of a good abstract like purpose, method, finding, and implication.